Hello everyone and welcome to the 2020 Shelly Sharpe Memorial presented by Spinners on the Green. This PDGA A-Tier is the first of the 2020 season, and we're glad to be at Vista del Camino giving you some sweet early season action for this PDGA A-Tier. The young guy Adam Hammes, who originally hails out of northern Wisconsin, is in the lead right now. He's got a single stroke advantage over the rest of this talented field in Drew Gibson, Terry Rothlisberger, and Josh Anthon. And of course, so much talk here is going to be about the new mandatories that have been placed out on this Vista del Camino course. This event really acts as a great tester to see how things play out prior to coming in for the 2020 Memorial Championships, which will take place in just a little over a month. So you see that the players have to navigate through those uprights and below that low-hanging banner. So in essence, it's a triple mando. We saw all three players lay up short of the mandatory. No one wanted to take the chance. I talked to Josh Anthon before the round. He said, "What do I got? I got to go for it." He hits the right upright, and it doesn't go past it. Therefore, no penalty strokes. He'll still be able to even have a look at birdie. And with a slightly elevated basket and then the water looming just behind it, it really feels like this is just going to always be a layup for these competitors. Adam just a little out of position. He's got to go with the standstill forehand. Easily gets up and down. Terry Rothlisberger with his first year on tour full-time. He's a solid Minnesota competitor, rated over 1,000 at the time of the event here. And Josh was known for running at pretty much everything. Just puts that one right next to the basket. First hole nerves, not a problem. And Terry's going to take his par and remain at 12 under. Our competitors have played 2 rounds prior to this, both on the exact same course over the previous 2 days. So they're really getting on a great test and some good practice for what we'll see at the Memorial Championships.
Yeah, and it went through more of the middle, but it went pretty far over. I mean, it skipped on the ground, but it almost stayed.
How high that one was,
And Josh was talking about how earlier he had tried to lay up in a previous round and it still resulted in a bogey, which is why he felt like, well, I'm just going to go after it and go for the birdie. And Hammes with a near park job here on hole number 2, 369 feet. Of course, this round is presented, this entire tournament, I should say, presented by Spinners on the Green, along with some great sponsors. You hear off to the right, right now is Duke's Sports Bar and Grill, also a sponsor, as you can see him in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Has been supporting disc golf events here for over a decade, so thanks to Duke's, along with Sierra Nevada as well, as Terry puts himself right next to the pin. To timestamp this, the NFL playoffs are going on. That's what you're hearing as the background noise, and Josh with a park job as well. Of course, the big story in the offseason being that Drew Gibson foregoing his his normal or exclusive Innova sponsorship, as he's going to a mixed bag this year. So he is throwing a number of different discs. And we got a star frame, 4 birdies on hole number 2. There's Sierra Nevada. I know they do a Friday night, third Fridays doubles action where you meet up at Duke's. Sierra Nevada, a huge supporter and sponsor of that. So if you're ever in town, and it's the third Friday of the month, come check things out. Looks like Hamas's forehand was just a bit short. Drew with a traditional backhand. Asking for it to dig. Of course, coming in at that angle, you're really going to be flirting with how fast it can hit and then skip away.
Oh, no. That is a great shot. Mark!
Oh.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, it is.
Holy moly.
Out of bounds and in the adjacent parking lot, unfortunately. And there's the skip I was talking about. That's why you saw Adam go with the forehand, probably trying to play to the basket after the skip.
It's the worst shot I've seen this weekend. Shouldn't have parked there. That guy literally is parking at his house. Like, hey man, don't park at your house. I might throw it over the fence 200 feet the wrong way.
What do you think he did wrong there? If you're going to break down something that happened, what did he do wrong there?
Like, a little bit of a late release, like by like only 45 degrees. And then definitely too flippy of a disc because it never even started going left again. So like it was a double shank air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a double
He
air.
smashed that car.
Yeah, in his defense though, bro, that's the worst shot ever.
I got a laugh at it, and I'm like, well, don't ever do that. Why would you ever even think that? That's crazy.
Bro, you can't even do that.
I know.
And we get a little in-round analysis. All good friends, everybody giving each other a little bit of a hard time, but yet these guys are all friends. And yes, they're comfortable in talking to me, so I don't need any of the hate, people yelling at me that I'm talking to players. Clearly conversations were to be had, and birdies as well. Even after the huge skip, Josh from outside the circle converts on his putt. Drew looking to follow up with a birdie, but high left chain. This is our third hole, and it looks like our second elevated basket as Hamas easily converts. Terry's looking to just walk away with the bogey after the OB penalty. Score separation that you wouldn't necessarily expect here on hole 3. 2 birds, a par, and a bogey. 381 feet. Very similar shot to what we've seen from the previous few holes. We'll see if Terry makes a disc change or not. And similar result for Hamas. He seems to be on fire early. Josh plays it wider and with a little bit of skip. Also appears to be pretty effective. I know Josh throws a lot of bosses. And it's just incredible how effortless, as he almost skips that up and in, how effortless Drew makes his drives look. 381 feet. Looks like he barely puts any power into it.
Thank you. We didn't need a car this.
Drew with the affirmation saying, well, he didn't hit a car this time.
Drew's ruthless. I fucking love it.
Ouch. Just brutal.
Good putt.
I don't know about that, Terry. And momentarily, Drew will get to within 1 of Hamas. However, Adam can make that probably with his eyes closed as he stares it down. And the park job for Josh. So again now, we got 3 birdies. And Terry left out of the party. As I mentioned, Duke's Sports Bar and Grill, huge supporter of disc golf, and just the place to really hang out when you're at this tournament or any of the Vista del Camino tournaments. And going with a high forehand. Just trying to take everything out of play. It's a great shot by Adam. There's a mandatory. Now, this mandatory has been there for a few years, so this is not a new one, unlike a few of the other ones we've seen. A mandatory on the right side of the fairway that you have to go inside of the tree. I didn't quite show it there. And that's why you're seeing Josh go straight up the middle, and we've also saw Adam go way out to the left, really trying to avoid the single tree on the right where there is a mandatory. And Drew's just going to go straight up the gut. Again, such a display of power. And it's a little deceiving. That's almost 30 feet deep of the pin.
Right, run up into the shelter.
And hitting it off the support mechanism to the elevated pin. So this is your first glance at Josh gets up and throws pretty quickly. That's not only just on tee shots, but also sometimes on approaches, and I was barely in position. There's going to be a few of those. I'll just foreshadow that now. Drew on that right side just didn't look like he was centering enough. And Adam continues this hot start. Another birdie. Terry trying to make up for the previous few he's missed. There's a birdie.
Thanks.
Josh on the last 3 holes combined. 3 out of the last 4 holes, I should say. We find him inside 10 feet. And then the one he wasn't close to, he makes the long putt. Huge shout out to all my Patreon subscribers. This event went largely unfunded, and I know it was bonus material and the kickoff to the 2020 season, and I just had to capture it. So this is times like this is where we really rely on the Patreon support. Please consider becoming a Patreon member. There's extra giveaways if you're a Patreon supporter. And I'll give you a hug anytime you want. The basket plays way up by the volleyball net that you saw, and that one rolls out of bounds for Josh. There's a line along that right-hand sign that indicates OB, and Josh has found it. And Terry is in awe. And a huge shot by Drew Gibson. In fact, I think Terry had said, I wish I had a disc that does that. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think that's the disc at that point. It's just the raw power that Drew has as one of the longest throwers in the game. Josh is tight to the OB. And Josh had talked about his ankle hurting, and I feel like he kind of grabbed for it there. I'm not sure if that was a pull on the ankle or he just rolled it over in a goofy fashion, but he had talked about it prior to the round, and I think that was one of the more evident spots where something had happened, where he pulled himself over and took the OB and then got up and threw right away. And really surprising to see that air by Terry.
Stay in bounds.
OB on that right side, and Drew comes up just a bit short of it. He's taken off so much distance on this opening tee shot that you rarely see someone with that short of an approach for their second shot. This is Drew for his birdie from just inside the circle. And that one skips at least 20, maybe 25 past the basket. Josh is able to walk away with the double bogey. He's got to save that long of a putt to do so. But after the double OB, and Drew, oh no, that's going to be a 3-putt and a trip on his bag. Drew with such a crushing drive, it's a shame to see him not be able to get up and down. At least even take the par. So we're looking at another elevated basket. Now the competitors where Terry's walking off in the distance will have at least a quarter-mile walk. Maybe it's even longer than that. If you're a big guy, it definitely feels it. I'm just kidding, it's not that bad. But we have a long walk after this hole where we're going to move into the second third of the course. And Drew's going to be probably thinking about how he just turned that birdie into a bogey. But Adam Hammis appears to be on cruise control right now. He's distanced himself. He's got 4 strokes on the card. There's a huge crush. This one plays in at just under 650 feet. And to compare Adams versus Terry's shots, Adams was pretty much picture perfect. If you're going to find yourself on the left side of this fairway, you really want to almost be challenging the road. However, they've made things a little bit more difficult with an additional mandatory. So we'll see where Terry ends up. But when you're looking at how to throw a drive on this hole, Drew and Adam threw it perfectly. Josh was ready to get up and throw right away, as you can see, as I barely just caught his run up. And also really good position as the hole kind of fades off to this left side. Now Terry has to deal with the mandatory that you see on the left, top left of your screen. That's a new mandatory. And that's what's making this hole so much tougher. Normally, if you're on that left side and you're close enough to the road, playing all the way to the pin's not a problem. But now with the addition of the new mandatory that you see at the 2 o'clock position there, it definitely forces your second shot if you're on that left side. Or you just do what Adam does, puts himself right next to the pin. And Drew with a solid approach, just a bit deep. This is a hole where most of the competitors are really thinking this should be a birdie for them at 650 feet and the par 4 that it is. A great putt by Drew. It's really just a straight shot. If you do a little math, you throw straight 325, throw with a little hyzer 325, and you should be right at the basket. And rare to see Anthon miss inside the circle. Playing to another elevated pin. Oh, that one just slips out the left side. Certainly it was left. Can't blame the basket for that, but Josh a little bit on tilt there, which is very surprising to see when it comes to being on the putting green. So speaking of putting greens, what I'd like to know is, what are your thoughts on elevated baskets? Do you love them? Do you like that on a relatively flat course? They add challenge, or would you like to see every basket at the exact same height off of the base of the ground? It's quite a hot topic, but leave it in the comments as Adam parks, almost parks, hole 8's, slightly downhill, 360-foot shot. And no surprise, big hyzer by Drew. And just past the basket. Great shot by Gibson. Terry's going to go straight up the middle. Looks like it has a little turn to it. Good power and control, just too much turn. Josh is up and ready to throw. This is a rock that Josh is throwing. Yeah, okay, that'll work. So again, leave it in the comments if you like or dislike elevated baskets, as we're looking at one, we'll say at normal height here, as Terry's just off the top. Everyone that comments and likes will be eligible to win a disc. I'll host a giveaway for that as Adam continues his streak. Another birdie. And things appear to be pretty tight here as Drew is 2 ahead of Rothlisberger. Anthon's going to pick up another birdie. Fight back after the rough couple of previous holes. We're going to move on to hole 9. Easily the toughest par 3 that you find out here on the course. The water is down. It's under there somewhere. I made a terrible Discraft Underground joke. So it was worth repeating. It was that terrible. As Adam is underneath that cutout there.
Well, Adam threw a better shot than me.
Drew giving his props to Adam, saying that he threw a better shot.
Flex it. I like it. Flex it.
Oh, full flex. And in other events, if you're watching coverage here, that definitely could have been OB when the water is at its regular height. So it looks like both Hamas and Josh are going to take advantage of the lower water. Discraft Nuke plug and shout out there. You're welcome, Discraft.
Nice shot, Drew.
And Gibson is trying to get up and down. Now, it is very rare that you see a birdie here on this hole, just because of the power that's required and always having to flirt with that out of bounds. Everyone would consider this a bonus birdie. It wouldn't be crazy to see 17 birdies on this course, and then the one that doesn't get birdied is this hole. It just really plays like that tough of a hole. In terms of the birdie, it almost seems like an easy par. Par is very common. Of course, you can find a bogey or a double bogey, but threes have to be the most common number on this hole by far. And Drew will collect one of those.
So I felt the whole tournament. Felt better than everybody. Same score.
And we're closing things out here. And a great putt by Terry, the new young gun on the tour. Full-time tour, I should say, as he's proven himself in Minnesota and throughout the Midwest. Super great player. Plays for Team Discraft. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. We got more bonus action coming. We're going to have the final 9 on the way, coming at you. Again, I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and I appreciate you watching my video blog. We'll see you for the back 9 in the conclusion of the Shelly Sharpe Memorial, presented by Spinners on the Green.